Hey, what's up everyone? Thank you for joining me in this video. In this video, I'm just going to be discussing how I completely transformed my body in under a year, being able to achieve my dream physique and also learn some pretty cool calisthenics skills at the same time. And just showing you guys that you can definitely do this too, and that you can obtain that dream physique while learning, cool shit pretty much. I also do want to note that I did all of this as a full-time college student, working 20 hours a week. My name is Joseph, or Joe, and I've been doing calisthenics and really trying to transform my physique for about a year now, and I made a ton of progress, to say the least. On the left here is me as a pretty skinny kid who thought, muscle mass was genetically impossible. Like, it just wasn't in the cards for me, and it just wasn't gonna happen. All that was completely wrong. It was not a proper way of thinking, and I know many people think that way, myself included. And on the right is me now. You can see here I put on a considerable amount of muscle mass, and I look completely different than I did in the photo on the left. And in the middle here is just me doing a way to muscle up, just showing you can have the physique and learn those cool calisthenic skills at the same time. All right, so we're gonna start from where it all began. So let's kind of go back to where it started. For about 6 years of my life, I was a cross-country and track runner, weighing in at about 125 pounds. I was very skinny, and I was really a dedicated runner. That's what I wanted to be. That's what I wanted to do, and that was my identity. I wanted to be this, really, really good runner, and I was chasing the dream of being a professional runner. But honestly, I was pretty insecure about my frame. And, the only thing that kind of kept me at bay was, I want to be a professional runner. So I couldn't really be, one of those guys that are a little more bulky and kind of have like that aesthetic physique. So I felt like I always had to be skinny. Like, I had to be skinny, and I had to have that fragile frame. And it never really made me feel good about myself in the sense of, I guess my aesthetics, my looks. And, a lot of the time, I kind of believe that, my genetics were just destined to be the skinny kid forever, pretty much. Like, I just had to be this skinny kid. And it felt like, I was passionate about my sport, about running, but it kind of felt like I was stuck in a body that wasn't representative of who I wanted to be. Despite all this, my passion for running was so strong, I still decided I really wanted to do this. I want to become a professional, and I went on to run D1 in college, chasing that runner dream. Now, I made it to college my freshman year. I ran it, and I was getting faster every week. It was getting better, and I got injured. It was a chronic ankle injury. Everything changed after I got injured. It was just the transition to college training was very brutal on my body. My body was not ready for the stressors that it was, demanding from me. I was in constant pain every single day. Just walking around was painful. And I would go to practice the next day and run. I really had this strong discipline and stubbornness to me that felt like it was being wasted. One good thing that I did get out of running D1 in college is that I was introduced to weightlifting. That's how I got introduced into it, and I was actually able to gain a little bit of muscle mass just through the minimal lifting that I was doing. I ran through pain and injury for 2 years after initially getting injured, and just going through trial and error, getting better, getting worse, the ups and downs for 2 years. And eventually I hit my breaking point, and I realized I was much more capable of doing something else in my life than staying in this cycle of getting injured and getting better, then getting injured again, and just doing this over and over and over, just realizing I didn't want to do this anymore. So in December 2024, pretty much flipped the switch. I quit the team, and I'm not good at quitting things. And this was a very important life lesson for me, is to know when to quit. And that's what I had to do. So in December 2024, I quit the team and pretty much started the only thing, that I really knew outside of running, and it was weightlifting. And I kind of got introduced to that when I was running on the team. When I first started out, first month, I was doing purely just body weight. And then after that, I started integrating weights after I built my base up. And then from there, started integrating some calisthenics, and rest is kind of history from there. Back then, when I first initially started, like, I could barely do clean pull-ups, and wasn't the best start. I had a pretty good foundation, but not the absolute best. But I made a promise to myself that, I would never slip back into those old habits of being fragile or skinny or being called a skinny kid or, told to eat a burger or something. Like I didn't want to go back to that. And I promised myself I wouldn't do that again. And I kind of hinted at this. I didn't really necessarily start from zero when it came to fitness. Being a D1 athlete gave me something that a lot of people lack, and that's a deep understanding of discipline and how the human body works and recovers. So I had, some pretty decent basic knowledge of, weightlifting and running recovery. I knew a lot with running and how a lot of those principles still applied to weightlifting. Obviously not a direct correlation, but had good connection. During my running career, we had strength training twice a week. That I was able to put on a little bit of mass. The before here is when I had lifted. You can tell, I had a little bit of tone and definition. I had lifted on and off for about 2-3 years at this point. And, it showed, I was still not satisfied with my physique at the time. I was just very, very lean. That was due to being a runner, and you can see all my muscles, but it doesn't really look that good in my opinion. It was very, very skinny, and that's not what I liked. Getting into my journey, I realized that my knowledge was good, but it wasn't specialized. That's when I took my athletic background and merged it with months of research and trial and error, while also mastering 2 core pillars that pretty much changed everything for me, and that was progressive overload and precision macro tracking. Now, a lot of people think progressive overload just means lifting heavier, but in calisthenics, it's much more strategic, as well as, in weightlifting as well. The principles of weightlifting is, you get in a rep range, say 6 to 8 reps, and once you can hit 8 reps of a certain weight, that's when you up the weight, and then you go back down. You're around 6 reps, then eventually you get to 7. You get 7 reps, and then after that point, that's when you would up the weight again. But with calisthenics, it's a little different. Basically, the science is to systematically increase the stress on your body to force it to adapt. Because if you don't give your body stress to adapt to, your body's never going to adapt to stress greater. It's never going to get stronger. It's never going to be able to do these things that you want to do in calisthenics, or if that's in weightlifting too. Same principle applies. And in calisthenics, since we're not just adding plates to a bar, we use leverage and volume, basically adjusting the angle of our body and the tempo of the movement. And that ensures that every single workout is slightly harder than the last, depending on where you're at. And that's where progressions come in and all of that kind of thing. In calisthenics, the central nervous system does play a huge part in learning these skills, because it is there's a lot more coordination and balance when it comes to calisthenics. And that's something I had to learn the hard way. And that training calisthenics and weightlifting, it's similar, but it is different. After months of trial and error and research with progressive overload, at the same time, I paired it with macro tracking. Now, most people think they're eating healthy, but they have no idea what they're actually fueling their body for with results that they want. Macro tracking is simply just managing your intake of proteins, carbs, and fats. Now, it's a very important note about maintenance calories depending on where you're at and where you want your physique to be at. So you have maintenance calories. Now, depending on your maintenance calories, if you want to lose body fat or lose weight, you would eat below those maintenance calories. But if you want to gain muscle mass, if you want to increase your body or your body weight, you would eat above your calories. That's a component of macro tracking. There's the components of managing your protein, carbs, and fats. Protein, you want to be high in protein. This is what's going to help, recover those muscle fibers down. Those muscle fibers that you just broke down in the gym. You need protein. You also need carbs, because that is the main fuel source that you are going to be using in and out of your workout to recover. Carbs are going to be your friend. Fats are also very important as well. Fats do play a role, and you need to be managing these, not however you want. And it varies person to person. For me, I had to eat a lot of food. This combo pretty much just allowed me to progress more in 6 months than a lot of people do in 6 years of guessing. And I did all of this in under a year without wasting hours in the gym or getting overwhelmed with all the social media junk information that's out there. It's a very simple process. It just requires the proper structure. So I thought, this is crazy. How did I make so much progress so quick? And it was because I used this framework and I wanted to try it on someone else. Let's take a look at my friend Jordan here. So he's a 21-year-old student, and he was a busy RA on campus, very busy guy, and a very good friend of mine. And he was kind of trapped in this cycle of not having time, not having structure, and feeling like he was never going to be able to lose weight. And I really wanted to help him out. So I decided I was going to help him through the framework that I had learned worked on me. So we implemented my framework, and the results were crazy. He went from 180 pounds, barely able to do 5 pull-ups, to being able to do muscle ups, 4 reps at 150 pounds. He lost 30 pounds, recomped his body, increased his strength, and he did all of this in under a year. And this just comes to show that when you have a system that respects the time you do have, progress becomes pretty much inevitable. Now, what started as a personal obsession has officially turned into my life's mission. Over the last 3 years, I've poured hundreds of hours into research, testing, trial and error, and just through my experience of being in fitness, and mastered a lot of these principles that allowed me to make so much progress in the short amount of time that I did it in. For a long time, I was just like everyone else, just pretty much guessing my way through workouts and just hoping for the best. And now I'm dedicating to being the mentor I wish that I had when I started. This journey just didn't change my physique. It completely rebuilt my confidence and gave me a deep knowledge of what the human body is really capable of. And being able to provide you, other people, the confidence and health that I had gained without, years of wasted effort. You can be the best version of yourself a lot quicker than you think. This leads me to my coaching framework. I break it down into 3 steps to take you from point A to point B as fast as possible. First will be a consultation call. With this call, it'll be a one-on-one video call consultation kind of thing to basically determine if you would be a good fit for the coaching program that I provide, and basically just identifying your overall goals for coaching. Number 2 is the plan. So based on the consultation, I will design a personalized training plan, pretty much just centered around your goals, your schedule, your strength level, and your lifestyle, taking in everything possible into account so that we can create the best plan personalized to you. And for number 3 is going to be daily support and accountability. We will have daily communication and mandatory weekly check-ins. This constant feedback is pretty much just going to allow me to make the necessary adjustments to your program in order to ensure that your progress does not become stagnant and you're not wasting your time. But here is the brutal honesty part of the video. Time is going to pass no matter what. You have to take accountability and just know that deep down, it's not a lack of time or bad genetics holding you back. It's hesitation. Doing this is basically choosing to stay the same. If you start when it's inconvenient, when you're busy, you have excuses, a lot of things are preventing you from doing it, and you start, it is going to make it a lot easier to continue being consistent. If you wait for things to be perfect, you'll quit the second life gets hard again. And, you might have excuses, and all your excuses are very valid. They're very valid things. But I promise you, everyone has a very hard thing going on in their life, and they have started before, so it's possible. And really, if you just sit down and ask yourself, 1 year from now, will I be proud of the progress that I have made, or will I be regretful that I didn't start a year ago? You can have results, or you can just continue to have your excuses, but you really cannot do both. Progress comes much quicker when you fully dedicate yourself and stop making excuses. So please stop waiting and start building. Start right now. Whether you decide to book a call with me or go get a friend to go to the gym with you, or you just do it on your own. You just got to start now. That's the most important part. Just go do some push-ups, go do some pull-ups. Literally start now and keep building that consistency. Become the version of yourself you've always envisioned. You can have that dream physique. You can have those calisthenic skills. It's all up to you. But if you are serious and you want to stop guessing and you want to get to your progress as fast as possible, you can go ahead and book a call with me, and let's see if we can transform your life the same way I transformed my life and Jordan's. And if that's not the route that you go, the one thing I want you to take away from this video is to start now. It's time to take a bet on yourself and take that leap and start now.